Okay, here we go. Hey everyone, John here. I've got something exciting to welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I am your host, John Espinosa. I am your host, John Espinosa, to the Leading Leaders podcast. Remember what drove you to do the great things that each and every one of you did and have done and are continuing to do. That's how you avoid complacency. So remember those 4 things. You have to delegate. You can't keep all the control. Make sure that you allow others to come in with ideas and be curious. Do not ignore your competitive advantage. Remember what got you there in the first place. And if you do those 3 things, you will remain successful and you will stay out of being complacent. And if you're like me, you won't let a closed sign on a restaurant dictate your life, because I made a promise that will never happen again. So I'm working towards making sure that others don't let it happen to themselves. I appreciate authenticity, being your authentic self, not letting others impact your mindset, making sure that we keep that imposter syndrome at check, that different perspective. Just by you clicking on this thumbnail for this episode lets me know that you all out there have a different perspective. So be proud of that, because you are all leaders. How can we ever think that we will get to the spot that we've never been? Just those little incremental changes build up over time and create habits, create behaviors that lead to wherever we're going. That's the magic. That is the essence of change. So I want to leave you with this note. One of my favorite quotes ever. Life is done for you, not to you. So next time things don't go your way, maybe you're not growing fast enough in your business, maybe you've lost a star employee, maybe you've been denied that job or that promotion, or maybe you're just going through a difficult relationship right now. Life is done for you and not to you. These experiences are going to mold you into a better person. And if you're in the thick of it, we can't see it. When we are in the change and we're experiencing that adversity, the cards seem like they're stacked against us. But just do one more thing.
Being able to delegate may be one of the toughest things for leaders to kind of let go of, because it's really doesn't mean that you have less power. I mean, you're really, like Michael said, learning how to work smarter, not harder. And by being able to look at the people that surround you and their strengths and weaknesses and delegate to those that you can count on and get the job done, you're going to be more effective as a leader to meet those organizational goals and objectives.
And we all have bad days. We all revert back to our old habits. But my mindset, my philosophy is don't have 2 bad days in a row. If you fall off the wagon one day, don't make it 2 days. So in order for us to change our behaviors, change the things that we have always done, audit your relationships. Go back to the list that you wrote down. Is it adding value? Are those individuals adding value, or are they taking away? Make sure that we change our thoughts on failure. You have to think about failure in a different way. Failure is an option. Fail fast, learn from those mistakes, and move on. We're talking about everyday leaders. Our neighbors, our teachers, our police officers, our community leaders, everyday leaders that go above and beyond to make sure that others' needs are taken care of before their very own. And that is a key characteristic when it comes to leadership. If you are in charge of yourself, that's one thing. But when other people are depending on you to get the job done, to provide that big vision, to put food on the table, that's an everyday leader. They don't get the notoriety that they deserve, but I can promise you they're being seen. I see you, and so I want to celebrate you. I want to celebrate those leaders out there that are consistently showing up for others. She said, I would have loved for her to see who you've become. And that meant a lot to me, because her legacy is what drives me, is what forces me to get out here on a patio and find a place. I had every excuse in the world not to record this podcast. I didn't have a quiet space, the construction. I couldn't get the lighting right on the camera. And I said, you know what would Jessie Lee do? She'd get it done, because that's who she was. And that's who I want to be, because that's the legacy that she left on me, is commitment and hard work. Help others, pour into others, because we all need each other. So I wanted to share that story with you. And if you have someone out there that has left a legacy on you, and they're still around, call them and let them know, because time is too short. We never know when we're no longer going to have that person here with us. So the next time you ask yourself, what does leadership look like? Look for those characteristics in others. And then look to yourself. Look in that mirror. What are the things that you do? Are you consistent? Do you have other people that depend on you? Or do you just show up no matter what? Because if you do, you're a leader. So see. Hey everyone, John here. I wanted to jump on and quickly talk about my Kickstart the New Year Challenge. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you got a lot of irons in the fire and you're not really progressing, you're not getting anywhere, maybe you feel lost. I know I did. And over the past decade, I have been working on a coaching program to help myself, and now I want to give it to you. Head on over to thejohnespinosa.com, sign up. You're not going to want to miss it. You owe it to yourself to kickstart the new year. Get going now. Don't wait till January 1 when everybody else is going. Get ahead of the game. You owe it to yourself.
Remember, what you do is your future, not your feelings. It's not how you feel, it's what you do. And the third thing, learn to support yourself unconditionally. I believe in you, but you need to believe in yourself and support it in any circumstance that may meet resistance, because you will meet resistance. Growth is all about the resistance that we experience in our life.
The first one, hard to focus on anything else. So what are we going to do? We're going to laser focus on the things, on the tasks that are going to propel us into change. When we begin to feel that lack of confidence, we're going to challenge those assumptions, and we're going to check ourselves and check our mindset. Again, flip that camera around, that hurdle that's going to propel us into change. When we begin to focus on short-term needs, we're going to take a break, take a breath, take a moment. Whatever you have to do, pause, step away so we can gain perspective, widen our angle so we begin to see past that short term and get a better perspective. That way we turn that scarcity camera around and drive us into change. And last but not least, whenever we get that feeling of self-preservation and we're in that fight or flight mode, we are going to use that to challenge ourselves and to fuel our ambition that's going to set the standards to help us achieve our goals to get us into change. Learn from those lessons. Journal down. Why was it a failure? Did you not make it a priority? A lot of times we don't make change a priority, and we learn that through the awareness piece. If it's not a priority, it's not going to get done. Whatever that was that you failed before, learn from that past mistake, learn from that past failure, and let's try it again.
Those three questions that I asked, what do I need to continue, what do I need to stop, and what do I need to start, along with the important areas of our assumptions, our strengths, and our environment, will get you going and keep you going in this season of change.
Three things to consider when you are creating awareness. One, make change the priority. I always do that through communicating the opportunities for the need to change. Two, what is your contribution? Is it positive? Is it negative? How can you contribute to the change? And then communicate why change is needed now. Not that we need to change, but why is it needed now? Those three things will help you create an awareness and are going to set that foundation for the steps that we're going to talk about moving forward. I believe me refer to figure out what day one looks like, get into action. So again, establish that baseline. This is day one. Day one always isn't going to be pretty. Day one may be miserable. If you're going into workout and you feel good and you maybe overdo it, guess what? Day two, you're going to be sore. Or maybe you're starting a new job. Maybe that's the big change, right? And you go into your new office and you're energized, you're pumped up, and the first person that you meet doesn't give you that quite warm welcome that you were expecting. And you're like, whoa. But you have to establish that baseline. What does day one look like? So that way you know that you're only moving forward. Anytime change is upon us, we're either pro-change or we're against that change. We have some resistance there. That's the story that we continue to tell ourselves. And if we never get curious, that story becomes the reality. So we can't even get past the awareness phase and into the other stages of change because we are stuck in the story, in the identity, in all the challenges and the reasons why we shouldn't change. So we have to get curious. If we're leading that, that's a question that you ask the group. This change is upon us. How can you support, or what do you need to do to be able to get on board or support this change? Go be great.